Yeah, that's why. Hanging on by a thread, a little clip.
This conference will now be recorded.
Begin with the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everybody to the July 29th Lorraine County Commission meeting. It's payday agenda. So since it's a payday meeting, we'll move right into payday and administrative business.
Okay. We have the sales tax in the amount of $84,937.59. I don't have my glasses on, I can't even see that. That's sad. Okay, and then we have the, in your packet, you have the pay activity reports for Elcon and, oops, I don't know why. It's too big.
Western Associates.
Yeah, sorry.
I move to approve the Western Associates total $932.13.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Garing. Do we have a second? Second by Commissioner Becker. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carried, 4 favor, 1 abstention.
I'll make a motion to approve Elcon Services Inc. in the amount of $2,533.92.
Motion by Commissioner Becker, is there a second? Second by Commissioner Dalkey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carried, 4 in favor, 1 abstention.
Okay, then we have a pretty large grand total for payday. If you'll remember, part of that is that big payment on Indigo. So the grand total figure, including payroll, is $2,384,387.47.
Any questions by commissioners? Everybody's had a chance to review all of the payday requests?
I had one question.
Okay.
I think it was on page 18, but in the past, haven't we bid tree removal at the county lake?
Yes.
We have for some of the,
I noticed we had a tree removal, but amount of $5,600. I just know that in the past, we've always bid that.
Thought we had a bid way back. Did they
Yeah.
just not get to
That
it?
was my question. Was this a bid from 9 months ago?
You know,
or
the guy's
something?
been out there for 6 months working on it.
Yes.
I mean,
I mean-
for a long time. Seemed
Yeah.
like it.
Yeah.
So it could be that, that was my
Yeah.
question, whether that was actually bid or not.
And just finally getting to an ending to bill out.
I was
No, I mean, they don't really have an issue. I just noticed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I say, he's been out to lake for 3 or 4 months at least.
I even asked here a couple months ago, what's going on with all the equipment sitting here all winter, or, up all spring and summer? He said, well, the wind just haven't got back to it, so I know he's been here for at least, like Dave said, 4, 5, 6 months.
Okay.
Seemed like for everybody.
Yeah,
it
it
does.
does.
That sounds like
It's not like I worry about what Isaac does, because he's
No.
always had it done before.
Yeah.
I just,
I think it is, I thought we did bid it, but
seems like there was a bid, but I
Yeah.
don't,
Yeah, we
I'd have
did,
to
but-
honestly go
Yeah,
back
it
and
would
look at the
be-
minutes to
Yeah.
see.
it would have been way back
Mhm.
early spring maybe, or
Yeah.
late
Mhm.
winter.
Yeah.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Any other questions? If not, I move to execute payday in the amount of $2,384,387.47. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Dalkey. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Okay, and the boards are here for your signature. the minutes of July 25th.
Commission's had a chance to review the minutes of July 25th. Is there a motion to approve? Motion by Commissioner Gehring, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second, Commissioner Crowfoot. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Thank you. In your packet, you just had some information, some traffic studies that were provided by Road and Bridge, so that was just for your review. Let's see. I have a notice from the county attorney, appointment of special prosecutor. It says, "Dear Commissioners, please be advised that I'm appointing Laura Villar as special prosecutor for Marion County from July 29th through August 7th, as I will be on vacation," and that's from the county attorney. And then, I also provided this.
Everybody around this for one,
Yeah.
two, Jason, Okay, so Commission's had a chance to review the proposals submitted by the county attorney, be from Carpal Solutions Prosecutor Software. Total is $29,300 plus $2,700 annual fee, so the total would be $32,000.
Well, I
No,
believe
no,
the
no.
total for the, is 29, including that fee for the
2,700.
first year, and then it'd be every year after is 2,700 a year
That's
maintenance.
just the maintenance.
And what's the 32,000?
Those are options with the buy.
That's an extra storage.
Gotcha. I added the 2,700
Not
to my
buying that.
32. Okay, so first year total cost is 29,300. Annual fee following would be 2,700. Is that correct?
Yes, the maintenance.
Okay.
That they-
Questions?
I wouldn't be surprised if some of these optional items might be needed, but that's
Does that,
just because of the first time, you know, you're gonna be dumping a bulk on it.
does he have any budget for that?
I don't know where he's planning to pay for it from. He's in the general fund, so if he goes over budget,
Yeah,
it's the
yeah,
general fund.
yeah.
But
Thanks for
he
the
didn't,
last.
he didn't include information about, and I don't know if that was discussed previously.
That's what I was trying to think back when he met with us on budget.
I don't remember, yeah. That was a few days ago.
Yeah, it was.
So, Of course, he's not here to explain it.
Yeah.
Since the current software is being phased out, will not work. I don't even know what kind of software he's got.
Well, they have that full case, full court. Is what he was talking about. That's what he was here talking about at budget time, I do remember, but I don't remember. He did say at the time that he was gonna have to replace and go to something else because it wasn't compatible with anything or anyone else.
I'm just curious how many years have been on that.
It honestly, it hasn't been that long.
That's my big concern
Yeah.
is every 3 years or whatever, we've got to
I think
spend
it's
30.
probably been more than 3 years.
Well,
I think it
nowadays,
was,
you never know.
when Courtney was here, it's like, it seems like when we got it. I might not be right on that.
That's right, she did do something.
I'd be curious to know exactly what this software does.
Well, I know that they've been demoing it, and his staff knows what it does because they were doing some training and some demoing of it. If you want to ask questions, I can see if Karen can come. But I believe it's the software that they need to be able to do all of their court functions, you know.
Access to state records.
To enter documents and.
I don't think it's state records. I think you can access whatever.
I just know, you know,
So, I'm sorry I didn't have it in your packet, but it was just handed to me right before the meeting, so.
I don't know what his timeline is.
looks like this was just printed up today.
Maybe we should have him come in when he gets back.
Yeah.
All right, it sounds like commission consensus is to have the county attorney come in to answer questions. Is next available.
The, part of his issue is most Mondays he's got court during commission.
Or if his assistant.
Well, I guess he could send a representative in.
Do you want me to see about anybody coming down today, or do you want to just?
They'd probably know more about it. He would.
I don't see it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't see
The way it is
anything
my office.
Yeah,
would cover that.
I know.
That
Yes, that's a computer, what to do. I just asked.
All right, what do we have next?
I don't have anything else for administrative. It looks like road and bridges next on your agenda.
I did see in the yellow packet, you had the information on flu shots.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
So I would make a motion that we be consistent with last year's decision on flu shots, that the county pay for uninsured employee and immediate family flu shots. Second by Commissioner Galkey. Discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried 5-0. Thank you for getting that information.
You're welcome.
All right.
Okay, thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
I put that in there and I forgot.
That's why I appreciate you getting that information. We just want to handle it.
Awesome.
All right. Ready for road and bridge? Bryce? Is he voting?
No, he's just involved with what's happening out there. He's like,
There's a lot of people voting out there.
your turn.
Thought maybe you decided to vote while you were there.
Oh, yeah, it's funny to watch the people, you know. Definitely a wild election. I don't know about you guys, but I'll be happy when the election's over, because my mailbox is just filling up with all those.
Just wait till fall.
Oh, yeah, so.
Okay.
First thing I have is area fuel bid. We only had one bid. Come find out the MFA was, they didn't get the message because the email we sent out, she's gone for a couple weeks. But we did call them and they said that they would just go ahead and update. So So, and then of course, co-op did not bid at all, so this is for that service. Good to see the price of everyone down.
Make a motion.
Get down to one bid?
Yeah.
You know, we had contact, the Agri Trails out of, now out of, the corporates up in North Council Grove or whatever, and they showed interest, but we've never received anything from them, so. Anyway.
I make a motion to approve the area 1, 2, and 3 bid fuel, total of $21,774.70.
Motion by Commissioner Dalkey, second by Commissioner Gary. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Okay. I hopefully Ashley gave you a copy of the change order for the crack seal. Did she- did she-
They already approved it, all we needed it was just for our records.
Okay, gotcha.
So-
Just want to make sure that you guys are aware of that, so,
Good.
okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Talked with the guy about the gravel fork. He requests $3,000 up front with payment at delivery. So I didn't know if the commission had a problem with that. He said that's the way they do it. He's only lost one due to that process, so I just wanted to make sure you guys are okay. I know you've been in the past, it's not near as much money, but 3,000 out of the 19, was it 19? Almost $20,000. So,
Thoughts? Commissioner Dalkey?
What do you want us to approve a check today for $3,000?
well, no, I will tell him that we'll do that, we'll give him a check, and I just wanted to make sure that the process was okay with you guys, so.
$3,000 down payment, basically.
Yeah, we already approved it.
Yeah.
You approved the purchase, so any opposition? Okay, I see no opposition, so commission consensus proceed.
Okay. I went up and visited Foley Cat yesterday to look at that mini excavator. I have a copy here of the purchase order, whatever else, as well as 2 pictures of the machine. Machines as it is, the quote, they first come back and said they about 40,000. Well, it did not have the thumb on it, as well as it just had one bucket, and it was used by a company out of McPherson, big pipelines and stuff like that. So they had welded a flat bar across the front of the teeth because they wanted the bottom of the channel to be perfectly straight. So anyway, the quote that he gave me there was for the thumb and the buckets, as well as the manual quick catch. So basically it's just a screw that bolt that went in and out that shut the cam lock and things like that. So anyway, it's a decent machine. They already have several people lined up, so if we're not interested in say that, sounds like it's gonna be going right away. But it is what it is.
How many hours on it again?
It's 3,600, I believe it is. Or right at 35, something like that. It should sit on top, somewhere on there.
How many hours would you plan to use it per year?
As much as we can.
Estimating.
Well, I mean, it's kind of the same thing as our skid steer. I mean, when we're using it a lot. Unfortunately, we're down to the fact is being short of people. This is something that the section men can use as well, you know, to be out there digging things, and it just comes down to everything else. We just shorter people, but you know, I understand if you look at the fact is, and we talked about it Monday, said there's no way we're going to use it 5 days a week, 8 hours a day.
Right. I'm just trying to figure out how much you could contract over the buying or something, so.
Well, I totally understand.
I mean, if it's not gonna be out that often, contract would probably be the way to go.
The problem is,
Just that way you don't have to hire extra help. The contract has the extra help.
right. Yeah, I mean, that is an option. The biggest thing that we would face is, it'd be like everybody else, trying to find somebody that would come in and do that, say, a little bit of work, whatever, for us.
Have to wait for them.
Could be, you know, I mean, is it something that critical? Probably not.
If it was something that critical, we could always rent one.
Well, and that's an option too. The other thing that you look at there is, trying to find a machine that's available at the time. I mean, there's pros and cons all the way around.
And this will last longer if we don't use it much too. I mean,
Well-
it'll last 10 years instead of 5 years.
I would hope so. You know, again, when you
61 half dozen enough.
yeah, when you purchase something, you always hope that, and obviously,
No.
it's, and I did.
Don't
I
want to
looked
be
at-
buying yard art.
Yeah, well, CAT did all the service on this from the start. They purchased it from CAT, and CAT did all the servicing and stuff on it.
When this one swings, does it have any overbite over the rear end, or does it stay within the tracks?
It is a utility, which all that stays inside the tracks. Yeah,
So it's gotta be somewhat close to what
probably.
mine
Yeah.
stays within the tracks. You
Yeah.
get bigger than that, you get one that
Yeah,
overbites.
and that's what I asked about, because it's actually the CR, that's what the CR means, that it's closed radius or whatever it is, where everything is rounded around the back, so nothing would ever be outside the tracks. Which for utilities, that's fantastic, you know, in town and things like that, so.
Okay, we've had problems when we buy other pieces of equipment, John Deere with motor graders, whatever. Would this be the same problem if we went to another brand that our mechanic wouldn't like it?
I don't think that's a problem. Parts are parts, pieces are pieces. You know, they all have their,
And we went to Volvo, and Volvo graders didn't do us very good when we went that way. So that's something that was very unexpected. When we purchased that, we expected to have a Volvo dealership, and they left, and bang, we didn't have nothing.
and we hope they would perform, or, you know, stand up better than what they had to us.
Just for clarity, we're done with that, right? Yeah, those are all gone.
No, we still have one left. It was in the shop when we had the other auctions.
I'm not saying this is not a good machine. I'm not saying that. I think at that price, I would like to see a bid from John Deere and from Kubota at the same size of piece of equipment as this.
Okay.
Whether we lose this or not, with the government discount, I think that if the commission's gonna go ahead with this, I think that there's 3,000 hours there that's, I'd rather see them be used in the county ditches.
Sure. Well, and I can, you know, the CAT comparable, Chase County is gonna get theirs, I think they said in August, September, it was $125,000 for almost identical machine.
Find that hard to believe.
Yeah.
I really do. I mean, cause just what I've been.
For new.
For new,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying, for
That-
new.
Yeah, the problem is trying to find a used machine.
Oh, yeah,
Correct.
I don't know how you're gonna
Fair.
get a bid on a used machine.
No, I want to bid on a new machine to show with a government discount that I think you'll buy one for $10,000 more, and you'll buy one probably a little bigger than this, if you want that.
You think you buy one for
Well, would Cat give us a
60,000?
bid on it?
Oh, yeah, I guarantee you. Every one of them give a bid on it.
Yeah.
And the only
Yeah.
other thing is gonna be availability. You know, like I said, I don't know when
Yeah.
Chase County purchased theirs, but it was gonna be several months getting it in. But yeah, I can bring back bids, not a problem.
Well, there's a whole bunch of them sitting in Wichita Ford Tractor right now with Kubota, but they're Kubotas.
Right.
Right.
I will say that, they're Kubotas.
But if you're not gonna commit somebody to the machine, 5 days a week, do you
Honestly,
really need a top-of-the-line machine?
yeah, I'd love to commit somebody each piece of equipment I have for that, you know, I mean, that's what's, trucks included, so.
I don't know, the section men that I've talked to have both told me that piece of equipment is needed.
And I'm not gonna disagree with that. The next thing I would like to ask the commission is, and Bryce, is, okay, so if we get too big a piece of equipment, you gotta have a bigger truck, bigger trailer, everything to haul.
Right.
If you stay within, that's why I asked whether it stays within its tail swing.
Mhm.
You can go even a size bigger than that, but the next size bigger in Kubota goes, when you go from 35 to 40, you can get about a 6 to a 7 inch overbite, which when you swing, you hit
Yeah.
something, but that next size there in Kubota line is to be bought for less than 60,000, so that's why, with government pricing, discount.
Brand new?
Brand new, yes, and that's why I'm arguing a little bit. is because yeah, and that's why I would like to see a bid. But if you don't want to do that, Commission, that's fine. I'm just telling you what I think I know from Kubota. I don't know what cat, and I don't know what deer does, and things like that, so.
Well, I mean, I can follow up with that stuff.
But you may lose this piece of equipment. So if the Commission decides that's what they want, I just want, you know.
It's not like we're not gonna be doing without, we've never had.
Okay, yeah, that's true, so.
I'm in favor of going along that route, Randy.
Well, I just want to throw it out there. I know what Bryce has said, but I've heard what Kubota dealers tell me too, and that's something that, and I'm not saying buy Kubota, I'm just saying that I'd like to see what the other pieces, companies are comparable.
Your Kubota's hold up as well as a cat?
I can't tell you that either. I can't tell you that either.
Huh?
They go up.
I
No,
can't
no.
tell you that.
As far as repairs?
But that's why I asked about deer and stuff too, you know, and then there's all kinds of off-brands out there that's foreigners that other companies are selling that I don't know nothing about, so.
Okay, well, I can get more information.
Yeah, it sounds like Commission consensus is to pass on the used equipment.
Okay.
Collect some bids on
I
it.
think I wait till Monday when you make a decision.
Well, according to what they told me, the guy was right ahead of me, wanted to buy it on the spot, and they said, no, we're gonna reserve it for Marion County. In fact, that guy even called me last night just to talk about it, so he's definitely interested, which, you know.
It's gone then.
Yeah, pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah. Not a problem, I'll get some more information then, so, yep.
Bryce, I just would like to do the fair, with
Sure.
our money, the fair thing, so that's.
Also, I mean, you talk Kubota, Cat's more of a industrialized, Kubota's more of a commercialized. There's a
Yeah,
different grade, but
I think-
if we're only gonna use it less than 100 hours a year, what's the difference?
Yeah, this may be the.
And you know, there may be another machine that comes up, you know, who knows?
Fleming's
So,
has Kubota's
Yeah.
equipment.
So,
What?
okay.
My next question to you, Bryce, while we're on this is, yeah, we'd like this machine, and we've talked about doing ditches with it, but we also know that we have floods occasionally, and how many bridges get lots of stuff swirled up on them and things. And do we want something that, of course, with a thumb, this would handle some of that stuff?
That's why I went with them.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is exactly what you would need, because some of them we can set up on top with the front end loader backhoe and get the drift. Others, if we can't get down to them, we have to bring in our 320 excavator, which is overkill.
Overkill.
Where this is, it gets in smaller, can maybe get closer, you know, that's what I was looking at, so. But anyway, okay, I'll get more information.
Thank you.
The only other thing I was gonna tell you was I got emails, and I don't know whether you guys are on KDOT's email list. They have opened up the KDOT cost share for this fall. It opens on August 8th and closes September 15th. They have also opened up the revised Als Assist Bridge Program and the Kansas Local Bridge Improvement Program system. Those both closed 9/2. At the KCHA meeting in Salina here 2 weeks ago, KDOT come out and basically, like the local bridge improvement program, they went from 5 million annually to 20 million. So the off-system bridge project, they've opened up those a little bit farther. More money, given more latitude as to what qualifies. The other thing they're looking for is if you can do things in a corridor, as in several bridges in a row or several bridges on the same stretch of road. They will look at that and give it more preferential treatment as well, because they know they can pool their money, you know, and save money on the mobilization and things like that. So anyway, just give you a heads up. You guys think of things. Like I said, just come in the first part of this week.
I guess what I'd ask if commissioners have specific thoughts in mind to get a hold of Bryce, otherwise you prioritize.
Yeah, and that's what I would do, is I'd give you a list of what was out there. You know, and again, they're trying to get the worst bridges out there. They up the amount to close old bridges as well. up to $1,000 a foot. So if you had a 50-foot bridge, it'd be $50,000. If it was a 100-foot bridge, it'd be $100,000 instead of just the $50,000. So encourage you to basically look at all bridges as well. So, but anyway, so that information is out there, and like I said, I'll follow up with stuff.
Again, I know you've done it in the past, you have a list, but bring the list to us.
Yeah.
What were your recommendations?
Well, and like I said, I really need to go back and find all the specifics to find out what bridges would be the best for each one of those.
When's flat approval will they be done with the?
Oh, they'll get to those probably in the next 2 months or so.
Let's say if we had their report in front of us.
It won't be in near enough time. I mean, even after they're done and they put all that stuff into a file, it's usually the end of the year before we get that. So, but
Very good.
all right,
Thank you.
thanks.
Fracture criticals do we have?
2. Yep. And both, one or both of them are up on 340th, east of 15.
No.
That stretch road we talked about closing.
We should close on.
Yeah.
Mile north of 330.
Looks to me like it's closed now.
Well,
Yeah.
people still use it.
They still use it.
Yeah.
There's landowners that want it open.
Yes.
Yeah, we've talked about it in the past, but anyway, I believe that's the only 2 we have left, so.
We may need to take a hard look.
Yeah.
I know they're a little higher price machine too, but
Utilities around there?
Perhaps Bobcat.
Walk can't see that there.
Oh, right.
Yeah, position was it?
With government discount, see what they do.
Okay. All right, thanks.
But that ownership can change. All right, Chuck. Hello.
Morning.
Got a lot of sheets on your legal.
I do, calling around, getting some
Going
comps.
through one a day.
I've realized that EMS directors are difficult to get a hold of.
Nobody wants to share.
Nobody wants to talk. Nobody wants to answer the phone, especially when it comes to employees and when we're trying to recruit our own and trying to get some knowledge based on their services and try to improve ours. It comes down to, and I'm just gonna rip the Band-Aid off, we're grossly underpaid. We're grossly underpaid. From the services I spoke to, everyone's in that $19 to $22 an hour range for pay for employees, for paramedics. EMTs trickle down the line, but I think we can hire EMTs in cheaper and try to farm them out and grow them into paramedics, but that's the number, and that's the service I think we need to provide for Marion County is an ALS truck with at least one paramedic on it and with an EMT partner or an EMT. I've looked at some numbers, and Travis is here with me as well, so he might answer a few questions based on next year's budget. But going through it and looking what the county's already adopted on that pay plan, the paramedic on that last step is at 1948, and I think I would strongly recommend that we look at that number to try to get paramedics in the door, because right now we have medics leaving, taking $20 to $25 an hour jobs elsewhere. That word has spread through the department, and with a $4 to $6 an hour increase from what we are now is a lot of money. It's going to be about $12,000 or so a year increase for the average paramedic that we have now. So that's weighing on a lot of people's minds. I think the conversation we're going to have today is basically whether or not Marion County EMS is going to exist. If things, not to be blunt, but if things don't change, that's a discussion that will be on the table as well. So retainment, recruitment, and transfer, those are the 3 topics I think we need to talk about today. I think the first one we need to start about is retainment, keeping the ones we have here. Pay is obviously the hardest one that we're gonna have to, hardest conversation we're gonna have to have. It's probably be the most difficult, But I think we also look at some benefits, sick leave, vacation, some other things that aren't quite as costly, but are enticing to try to keep the ones we have here and also bring in some more applicants. I will say that our last 2 paramedic positions ago, we had a gentleman leave in October. That paramedic, we never had an applicant for approximately 5 to 6 months. That position was filled by a nurse that we recruited from Gossel to volunteer. She was a previous volunteer and we recruited her. This now paramedic position we've had open for several months. We've had 1 applicant and he turned down the position because of lack of pay. He did not take that much of a pay cut. As it sits right now, I have 6 resignations on my desk. 7th one is, I got a list of vacation days he's planning on using up, and he made comments that September's is gonna be his last day at some point, so I'm sure right now. So, looking at the budget and for right now, if we do bring up all the EMTs and the few EMTs and the paramedics we have to that last step that we've already been approved on the pay plan, that is a good starting point to hopefully try to get the people that stay, that have already committed to leaving. A couple of them have mentioned that if we can get up to close to what they're getting at this new application or this new position, if we can get close to that, they would stay.
New positions are taken where?
She'll be in Osage County EMS.
Osage population.
Population of about 17,000.
Barely.
Calls little there.
Call rate.
Call rate is about 2,400 a year. Ours is about 12.
You gotta play some of these things into the factors.
Yes. So that's what I say. If we can get close, I mean, I don't think we're going to be able to hit that $20 mark, that $25 mark. But if we can get close, then we can alter the benefits, get the sick leave, get the vacation, maybe do some. We will need to talk about tuition reimbursement, coverage to go to paramedic school, maybe not using the EIG grant, make the county's own grant to lock them in so it's not untransferable. But all that is all good and well. But if they're coming in and working for a below average salary, you're just not gonna be able to get them in the door, and that's the first step, first hurdle we're gonna need to go through.
Full staff, how many paramedics?
Full staff for us, I think, right now, we need to hit minimum staffing, and that's gonna be 2 paramedics a day.
Yeah, but what's full
So-
staff? So if you were able to recruit everybody, you
9 paramedics.
9 paramedics? How many? 3 A's?
3 A's, 3 B's.
3 B's?
3 EMTBs.
3 EMTs, 3 TBs.
Total 15.
Yes.
I was told that there's a company that does, like traveling paramedics, like traveling nurses.
Costs.
Well, I asked him, I said, what is, I said, maybe that's an option. I said, what do they cost? He said, $45 an hour.
I can go to Missoula in Montana and make 75 as a paramedic.
Can I interject? Okay. Again, I applaud the previous commissions for what service you determined you want to provide for this county. As a taxpayer, as somebody with family in this community. In 2019, we had, in 2019, we had one opening. I had 9 applicants. When I came to work here, we were paying in the top 10% of Region 3, which starts at Barton County, goes over to Chase County and south. That's the region. We were paying the top 10%. Benefits weren't terrible. We had people that were excited to come to work here. Unfortunately, what has happened in the medical world, no fault of anybody in this room, is everybody started up in the pay. And I feel like we did a good job retaining people for a while. Things have changed, and I apologize for that. But as things change, recruitment and retention is gonna be at the forefront, you know, and Chuck's alluded to the numbers that we're seeing now, applicants. I can echo that, you know, even a little bit before Chuck was aware of the applicants that were in the waiting, you know. I went from 9 to 3 to 1 and 2, you know, I mean, we just did that over 6 months at a time, including, you know, when I hired Chuck, it was, you know, I think 2 applicants, 1 position. So that's been a little bit ago, and we were fortunate to have people that had some ties to this community come back, and Chuck's one of them, you know. So I, as a taxpayer, Chuck as a taxpayer, everybody in this room, I understand the difficulties you have trying to do what he's saying. And I'm not trying to undermine you, Chuck, but I think there comes a point we need to look at the service we are going to provide, what we're required to provide. I certainly would not be one for lowering the level, wouldn't be for lowering the numbers, but that everything's on the board now. I feel like that we need to be looking at it. You know, the other side of what I heard along with pay is insurance. I think you know, I have one guy that had to keep another job, full-time job, work here full-time for his insurance benefit, for his family insurance. So we can watch labor disputes in history and how those things, union, non-union type things went. I feel like you guys are over a little bit of a barrel now, and again, I apologize for that. That's not the position I think anybody wants to put you in or make it appear that you're in, but that's my 2 cents.
What's the average AEMT pay?
Average AEMT, and if they're broke down one of these links, it shoots it out.
Hey, I think our biggest problem is this new program that, you know, set the wages, started 5-6 years ago working on that.
It's pre-COVID.
And in the last 24 months, everything has increased 25%. I mean, paper, wages, benefits, and with this, need to throw out the wage package and start over again. I hate to say that. I would just add 20% to it and go on, because it's outdated.
Yes.
To answer your question, the EMT right now is making $12.89 at step 2. The AEMT is making $14.21 at step 2, and the paramedic is making $16.45 at step 2.
I think what he was intending to ask was, what
What's
is the
competitive rate?
comparable on the
Comparable?
market from what you've found?
For EMT, I call the one of the services I was able to talk to at Miami County. Their EMT wages is $14.35 to $21.55. They cap at EMT at $21.55. An EMT.
What about
Payola
in the middle?
Well, Payola, they didn't differentiate between A and EMT. I'm not saying I don't pay rate. They looked at them as a BLS provider. Payola, that's Miami County. But the medical field, we're low men on the totem pole.
Gone crazy.
I think I've said before, is we got guys that are going to the hospital, because now the hospital can pay a paramedic more than what they're making right now working for an EMS agency, but less than they can pay a nurse. So it puts that paramedic in a nice little spot, because they can go in, get a cush job in the ER, air conditioned, be at home on time, at home every night, and get paid more than what they are on the streets, or working in an ambulance. And so now it's trickling down to EMTs are now going into hospital positions, and it's just a snowball effect, and it's unfortunately EMS services are taking the brunt of the hit. And it's not just in Marion County, it's not in Kansas, it's a national. There's shortages everywhere. When you have paramedic programs that are only handing out, 30 or 40 paramedic students a year between Kansas, and then now you have 100 positions available. It's a supply and demand issue.
I think our big issue right now is how do we fund an urban service in a rural county with the tax base we've got? Because we're competing against urban areas, that's all. We're unfortunately, we are surrounded by urban. And so it's no big deal for a person to move. They can pretty much, they can live here in Marion County and go to work.
And that's the thing is we're not gonna be able to match the pay, $70,000 in Butler County, $70,000 years in Leavenworth and other services. But if we can get the pay close, doesn't have to be exact, if we can get a paramedic to make around 62 to 65 a year, we change the schedule, give them some better vacation, sick leave policy. I think you're gonna entice some of those guys to come up and work where you're running not as many calls, but you're running serious calls. And that's what a paramedic likes to do, is they would like to have those thinking skills. They like to have that adrenaline rush. They like to come up here and see their actions of medications and treatments take effect. Whereas Sedgwick County, you might have a patient interaction of 10 minutes on scene and 5 minutes to drive to the hospital, because there's a hospital every couple of blocks almost.
I think your description, Ken, is pretty good. How does rural America fund urban?
Well, you know, we're kind of unique. You look around the state, and we're stuck right in the middle of an urban area with a rural tax base. And so how do we fund that without just killing the taxpayer?
So right now, just looking at the EMS budget, last year we had 115 allotted for our employee budget, or personnel services went unused.
You had 115,
$115,000.
$115,000.
Right. If we look at that surplus that was already allotted for that budget, I think we would have to increase that number by around 15,000 to get everybody up to that paramedics up to that 62, 65,000 range. The AEMTs, basically about a $10,000 payroll increase across the board for all of the EMS employees.
With that, not again to undermine anything, the system that I felt was appropriate with the staffing levels, I still feel is appropriate. I still think you're moving forward. But I'm gonna tell you, that 2023 budget, the numbers provided by the clerk's office, with an increase in there, I think you can do it. The numbers you asked for were 9. You move those numbers back to 6, 3, and 3 for 2023, and you can do it. I believe. I have to study the numbers a little bit harder, but what I'm saying is you're cutting 3 paramedic positions, which is the supervisor position, and now you're just running a truck, 2 trucks. So you're running 4, 8, 12 people. You lose the Chase ALS vehicle, but depending on how things go with transfers, all that whatnot, then is that truck available to run down and help? Is it available, again, not my ideal situation that I had, but if that gets you through a year and you look at 2024, where you want to be, how you can do it, I don't know yet, but I think my 2 cents is plausible to get people in the door.
Do you know the director in Butler County?
I know of him, I don't know him personally, Frank.
I was told through another professional that they might be receptive to helping Marion County with some transfers, that kind of thing?
I know they also have 6 open paramedic positions, so I'm assuming that they're also short-staffed at this moment.
Well,
I mean, yeah, I understand.
anyway,
It's-
it might be worth your time just to talk. I forgot what his name.
I've left,
Frank?
yeah, Frank. I left a voicemail for him the other day. Still waiting for a phone call back.
So you still waiting? Yeah.
So,
Okay.
I mean, that's kind of
Just the information that I
Yeah.
received.
And they're also paying a higher wage.
Of course, yeah.
And so we would be paying a higher wage.
I mean, they're paying Wichita rates.
So I guess what I'm coming
just,
back to is I think our interim and transition have presented an opportunity to adjust wages, stay within budget, and still maintain our own service.
Right.
And I would like to keep focused on that, on how we reach that point.
Interject one more thing, sorry, Chuck, I didn't.
No,
intend-
no.
But, transfers do play into this, when we start talking contract, things of that nature. If that's on y'all's minds or on the board, is revenue. If we look at projected revenues, what that can do to help offset that expense, to answer your question, Ken. When you talk about,
It's okay, you're still not on this camera.
do you want me on the camera? When you start talking about Miami or Osage County, they, I don't know their square mileage, I know their staffing levels, and I know they don't have a community hospital.
They're the largest
Well,
county.
they're the largest county in the state without a hospital.
They're a bedroom community to speak of.
So, but I'm saying their transport times, things of that nature are up there. You know, because they don't have that 10 minutes to a hospital type thing like we have here, so.
And our paramedic that's going to Osage County is going to be making $20 and change, and right off the bat, she's gonna have 144 hours of vacation.
The first year.
Which on the 20, and that kind of comes back, EMS, sheriff's office for that matter, is not an 8 to 5 employee. If you look at employee manuals from other services, other departments, other counties, a lot of them will have their own exemption for EMS 24-hour services or 12-hour services along the, other than, you know, your road and bridge, other than your clerical, your office, typical 8 to 5 employees. Because let me throw this example out there. I know we're kind of getting all over the page here, but Friday, road and bridge employee calls in sick to work. He takes off Friday, he's off Saturday, Sunday, comes back to work on Monday well rested. I call in sick today, we're 24/48, so I'm off Saturday, Sunday, come back to work on Monday well rested. Road and bridge employee, he took 8 hours of sick leave. I just took 24 hours of sick leave to have that sick day off. We were off for the weekend. It will take him 1 paycheck to earn that sick day back. It'll take me 3 months before I can use another sick day. Just as an example of how different a 24-hour employee is versus a 8 to 5 employee. And that correlates over to vacation as well. You know, on my first year here, I believe it was 40 hours of vacation I acquired. That's a day and a half of vacation. So those are some more topics that we're going to go in and hopefully get the ball rolling on addressing some of those issues and try to retain and recruit. That's the end goal for today.
So 144 hours isn't that much vacation.
It's 6 days, but that's
That's
about industry
industry
standard.
Yeah.
About 6 days of
I mean,
vacation.
it sounds like.
So ideally, what I would like to see, and what I would recommend is EMS, 24-hour service. I mean, I think you might be able to alter that sheriff's office, but that's another conversation for down the road or focus on EMS. But if we would be able to accrue either off the bat or if it's monthly improvement, 12 hours sick, 12 hours vacation, that's six days, 6 sick days, and 6 days of vacation a year for your paramedics and EMS service personnel. And that's about, I mean,
I will echo that's industry.
that's less than I was making when I was in Wellington. I was making .43 hours every 2 weeks. So I was making 14 hours of vacation and given 120 hours of sick leave right off the bat. They also had some other benefits and fine-tune points, but 12 and 12, a pay period, if you want to go the crewman route, that's, I think, where is industry standard.
Okay, is there commission openness to exploring adjusting the sick leave and vacation leave on our 24-hour shift people? Or is there opposition to that?
I think I'd be in favor of looking at it.
Okay.
And then when it comes
That's-
to,
I think Chuck could have it drawn out pretty well, where it all makes sense. You can see it on paper.
I guess that's what I'm asking for you to present. If I can get enough support from the commission, I would ask you to
I'll
bring a
present all.
proposal to us on how we can do that. And with that, an approach for a proposal that would be industry standard, I guess is what I'm asking for. Because right now, what I'm hearing is we are not. We are well below industry standard. And I think that gives us a lot more ability to retain and to recruit if we can at least meet industry standard. Whether we be urban or rural, at least in the benefits section as far as sick leave and vacation. So is that a consensus from the commission to bring back a proposal?
Gotta do something.
We'll bring back
And that
proposal on the range for the pay.
Well, we're just going, at this point, we're just focusing on the sick leave and vacation.
right.
Okay, I've got a consensus for you to bring that back at the next meeting, and hopefully we can move forward on that. That's one, at least, it's not a high dollar item,
Right.
but it is a valuable incentive to the employee.
And then getting back to the pay,
Yes. Now,
and the
it's-
scenario that Travis brought up about keeping a service and trying to do that within budget for this year.
Yes.
I would like to see us bring in Scott Lloyd to look at those numbers and see if what you're saying is justified. I mean, it's probably gonna cost us Scott Lloyd's day.
I know Jonah's been running some numbers over here too, which verifies what Travis is saying. There's money in the budget.
I've been checking the numbers and looking at the budget.
We
I
can-
haven't accounted for all the employee services as far as health insurance
Yeah,
and
all right,
everything.
Tina.
But just a basic breakdown of wages.
I was just gonna say, if we know the overtime hours and the proposed rates, I mean, we can figure that based on the different staffing level. I mean, we do it all the time for budget, so we
Sure.
would just plug in the different
Okay.
numbers and you
Whatever
guys
the-
could look at it.
Whichever is the wisest direction
Okay.
to try to justify numbers.
Okay, then let's get some commission consensus on the pay approach. I'd see consensus in doing something.
I think we have
We
to.
have- or back-
We have to. I don't think we have any choice.
Okay.
Is there any?
No,
There-
for-
let me finish up. There is room within the budget, and there is thoughts, plans for a proposal to bring to the commission that would be within budget. Would there be consensus to allow the interim director to work with the clerk, again, to give a proposal for next meeting on it?
Yes.
Okay, Commissioner Dalton.
Travis brought it up, is how does the commission feel about 3 supervisors for, that we have?
Mhm.
Do you cut them completely out?
Mhm.
And that's, I think you almost have to make a pay raise like this for a while. And maybe later, I don't know whether they would come back or not, but and I'm gonna ask you, Joe, and both of you a little bit.
I think that for right now, the goal is to staff 2 ALS trucks. The chase, the paramedic supervisor is something we'll cross a bridge will cross down the road. I think the focus is to staff 2 ambulances, and then if 2023 comes around and we get things hammered out with, if we get revenue income from transfers, if we do go down that route, the billing for that, and that comes in, then I think we can reevaluate that supervisor and or a full-time truck in Peabody.
I think it's a good point, Commissioner Dalkey, and I think again, interim director is gonna have to look at some possible restructuring, which we've already alluded to, they've alluded to. But again, keep that focus on 2 full-time ALS trucks at this point, building toward 3.
Yeah.
But we've gotta get through crisis mode.
Right.
first.
Yeah, we gotta attack it.
We gotta retain and we gotta recruit. Once we get through that and get up to where we're at least meeting a minimum standard and retaining some people, then we can be moving forward. But good point.
What is our average pay for our paramedics right now, of the 3 that we have, or 2 that we have? What's the average? It's close, I don't need to know exactly. I see that this step 2 is at 1645, but.
Yeah, so that's what we're at. Step 2 is at, check is about 45, 40, 20 is what according to this budget worksheet with the step raise for 2023 that I got from Sherry just a few minutes ago.
Oh, I was looking at hourly rate.
Hourly rate?
16.
Yeah, 1645, the next step will be 1678.
Okay.
So I'll be with,
Paramedic world, is because you have the 48, right, 48-hour. Is there any, how likely is a salary setup?
not. Are you talking about just put a straight number salary for a paramedic to come in?
48 hours a week salary.
You'll have to have a very large roster when someone calls in sick as of part-time staff that would want to come in and do that, because if you're salaried, you're not gonna get a paramedic to come in off duty to cover sick leave, because we're mandated to maintain at least 1 ambulance. So if we have 2 people or 3 people, one's on vacation, 2 people calling sick, to have a salary, I mean, it'd have to be billable overtime.
So what, so you throw a scenario out there, paid hourly as it is now, paramedic, the way it is now, bump it to the comparable rate, what's that annual amount?
If we bump it to, if we use, according to what on the pay plan, step 12, that is 1948 an hour, should get you a comparable rate wage of around 60,000 a year, 60, 62.
Where you get an employee.
So you're talking an extra 10.
I think so.
That's
Extra 10 when you're
That's
staying.
basically where we
That's where we
started.
started.
Yeah.
Was around 10,000. So you're pretty spot on there. And Commissioner Dalkey, if I can, you talk about that supervisor position, again, as Commissioner Mueller has mentioned, is crisis mode here. I certainly think those would go away to absorb the impact of any pay change. But it goes back to span of control. 3 to 7, 5 optimum. And as a director, to try and keep track of 12 people is certainly outside of that. So I think there's value in it, but I can see where that would have to be scratched for a while. But I don't think I would lose sight of that goal.
Again, it's not a terminating
Right.
program.
And I just want
It's a temporary.
Sure.
Yeah.
Suspension.
Transition.
Yeah.
Suspension of
That's a
that
key word we hear every day.
restructure. Yes. Yes.
I don't know, if you're talking about average having to hit 1940, whatever you said, going forward, working through your numbers, I would approach that as a step 2 measure. That way it brings all your current employees into that spot, and you have 2 steps below for your new hires. Because otherwise you're going to, if you start that at step 1, or you're gonna hire the next person, and the guys that stuck through this, and then you tried to retain, you're gonna irritate, tick them off. You gotta make sure, if you're gonna bring them up, that starting spot has gotta be the step 2.
the thing with my skill set versus new paramedic skill set coming in, that they are supposed to hit the minimum, and that's what I think we're paying for at this step. Everybody comes in at the minimum. I think what we need to look at is like a longevity or an experience bonus of some sort, whether it be $100 a year of experience.
50 cents an hour or something.
Well, not even hourly, because I think when you come in off duty, so if I pick up an overtime shift, now I'm getting paid double time, and if I'm 2 steps ahead of the new guy and I'm coming in, now I'm getting paid a lot more than he is, and we're supposed to be doing the same job. We have these set standards, so I think that the hourly rate is the minimum, and you look at longevity, bonus, experience pay, however you want to word it, based to pay them for their experience. Years of service or years of experience, however you want to look at it, because they have to come in knowing the minimum standards, and that's why I think that number hourly wage is. Does that muddy the water up a little bit?
It makes me struggle a little bit, because you got people that are loyal, stick it out. They should be at a higher step because they're holding your organization together.
But
So-
that's been a struggle whole county-wide since we went to the pay plan.
Well, yeah, but as long as they're in the steps, they probably should have already stepped up before the new employee ever shows up. So it's not necessarily longevity, it's just, it kind of works out that way.
How many hours out of your yearly shift do you expect to be overtime paid? Because if we went to the 1940 something that you was talking about, I just picked 45, just $3 an hour raise, 16.45, come up with 62.10, and so then I got to figure out how many hours you're going to be paid on overtime to a year.
It's really hard to budget all this overtime.
And
I mean, it's not.
I've tried, I would, just money in the water, I was paid on 212 hours, I think, and 2 hours overtime, right? Because that's how it was in the fire service. And we had a fictitious number, which was 3,002. You would take your hourly wage times 3,002, and that would give you your annual salary. It built in that overtime in that number. And I don't know the exact number here because I can't nail it down, because it is difficult, but I get you pretty close.
So on a 40-hour work week, you're looking at about 280 hours of regular work, billable, regular time pay, and you're looking at about 840 of overtime hours for a 24-hour service.
Per person?
Say that again. You didn't say it right.
2,080 hours.
There you go. Yeah, 2080
Plus, and then you got 800.
So then to make your fake number, you would half that 8 again.
800. I see. About a third.
14, 3,400.
Yeah.
Is an, I used 3430 and got close.
Right.
We have a number built in
Sure.
on our calculations, which we could double check. We put it in there when, whatever the schedule was that we had when we went to full-time with Ed DeVises. We kind of figured what that was, and if you're staying on the same kind of schedule, it should be the same. I mean, so we have that ability, it's figured into our spreadsheet.
Okay, so then when you put that up there.
So when we just change the hourly rate, it'll automatically calculate the overtime and
Okay.
give you an annual.
Okay.
And give you a total budget number.
Yeah, okay, because I was gonna say, because you raise your overtime rate too,
Right.
when you do that.
Yeah,
when you
we
do that,
calculate
so-
all that on our spreadsheet.
Okay.
That's why Scott said, we have, in Marion County, you guys have this great form that.
Already in the process.
So we can, it shouldn't be that hard to update it.
All right.
Tina, you went like this when you said that.
It shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah, she was
It
covered.
doesn't, I'm sure it's not anything to do with these wrinkles that I'm getting, or this terrible headache.
But again, Commissioners, I believe crisis mode, Chuck can come back with a number for you. I truly believe he can stay within budget if Tina can confirm that. Jonas kind of run some numbers numbers there,
Yeah, the other thing I can, it's base numbers, so it's
Right.
it's gonna have.
Sure.
But there's an
but you can see how I
insurance,
deduced it in my head.
There's,
Yeah.
and all that good stuff.
higher pay grade.
So if you was asking for a day off and the policy went to, you only had to take 8 hours sick leave or whatever on that day, you would lose 2 days of pay, 16 hours on a 24-hour shift. You'd only get, so how would that affect attitude where if you took a sick day, you only got 8 hours pay? That's probably not
That's
labeled,
how, that's,
probably not labeled under.
Got charged for 8 hours.
Yeah, I mean, on their books, they only had to take, on a 24-hour shift, they only had to take 8 hours that day.
And
well, you've gotta have time to substitute for that, so, on an hourly, I don't see how you would do it.
I'm just asking, because you said you'd have to take 3 days sick leave.
I would, well, see, and that's where it comes the 8 to 5 employee versus the
Right,
EMS
I
employee.
understand.
That's
Yeah.
the difference. If you look, you can't say days. I think you'd have to use the term either 8 hours or 24 hours. So we'd have to burn 24 hours of sick leave vacation. But if you're saying if we only had to use 8 hours to take a day off,
Yeah.
That would be fine. But you have to have 16 hours of pay on the backside as if we were clocked in.
That's way more complicated than
Well,
just,
Get
well, I'm
that.
just trying to answer your question. It's way more complicated because then you probably have to add in some sort of other weird sort of leave that's a paid
A paid leave
administrative
off or
leave
something.
when they wanna take a sick shift,
Well, I was
so.
asking them how they feel on their end of their check being short.
Oh, yeah, that's, oh, no.
I just asked them.
I mean, sometimes it's a good motive, because I know guys that don't get any paid time off at all, they miss very little work, very.
Just, I mean, we're digging out the bushes.
Yeah.
That's all I'm doing.
So I'll get with Tina and put those numbers in and get some kind of proposal
Good.
for the pay period, pay scale.
Excellent.
I know it's like part of Chuck's deal, there's a ripple effect that's gonna come from this.
Yes.
So do we need to get McGrath back involved?
Let's focus on EMS for today, and then we'll take that out. I'm not getting into the countywide issue.
We know that.
It's coming, as soon as we do anything here.
Let's take care of our crisis today.
This is also a little.
What do you have
little
next,
bit
Chuck?
different.
So some benefits. So we got the sick and vacation leave. We talked about longevity a little bit. That's something I think that to reward those ones that are here and to reward those ones that are gonna stay here. If you're okay, I'd like to bring up another proposal of either be $100, $200 per year, and then I think this is gonna come back to what my budget is or what the EMS budget is to see what's allotted in there, or if you wanna make this a countywide policy, that's.
You can start here. You
Um,
can bring us a proposal or what you'd envision, and then if it's something the commission gains traction with the commission, it can be something applied countywide.
This department is still a total different animal.
It
Just based on the hours.
is.
It changes everything.
So I'll bring that to you guys.
Okay.
So now, that's kind of retainment. So recruitment is also fall along those lines, got the pay, but tuition is another big thing a lot of services strive to pay for, and that's kind of a grow your own mentality. We can get these EMTs in here, we can grow them and lock them in for a couple of years as a paramedic, send them to school, pay for them to go to school.
That's a net zero basically to us at some point, right? I mean,
What?
you pay for their tuition and you,
Yeah, you get it back.
You get it back because it's, say the tuition's 50 cents or $1 an hour, and it's a $2,000 course. They get $1 less per hour, you've got your money back, it's done.
What age do you see a young EMT or a young paramedic at? What age?
We have one, we just hired an EMT, he's going to paramedic school, and he is 19 years old.
The reason why is we've got a commissioner sitting over there that's funding a work program for youth. Or something, I don't know exactly what it is.
Hotel.
VOTAC type deal for different field, but,
Well, not necessarily. Paramedic fits in the tech field.
well, yeah, but I'm just wondering if Marion County, I'd like to see somebody from my own county get interested in this field and become interested in working at it. I mean, I'm going back, clear back to the volunteer days. At one time, Tampa had a big service, but Florence is the service that I think of. At one time, they had 20 some employees or people volunteering back in those days. I know it's a different day than what we're speaking of today, but a young person don't have too many jobs to look at. I don't know, I'd just like to see, I don't know how we would do that, but
Liability, time commitment requirements.
Oh, yeah.
They've made it a profession. It's a young profession. That's one of the challenges of EMS. It's not the fire service, it's been around forever.
Yeah.
It's a young profession that started
In the
truly in the
70s.
70s. Prior to that, we all know the history, but as a young profession, they don't have a lot of history to base things off. There's not a lot of tradition. So it is hard, Randy, to get people into this field. You have to have, what I find is you have to have somebody.
that wants to.
Well,
It's
somebody
almost a
that's-
family member type.
Yeah, it's a family
heritage,
member
like-
or close family friend that was doing this to get you spurred into it. I think there's recruitment ways that people are approaching now to get people into this business, but I want people to want to come to our community to
Yeah.
work and raise a family and bring their kids to bring kids into our school systems. I mean, isn't that our goal, is to bring people to our communities?
Yeah, that's what you always say, word of mouth is your best advertising.
Yeah, I just love to see it. I mean, I know it's not there right now. I should think somebody would.
Instead of somebody going to nursing school, we could pay for the education to be an EMT and stay in the community.
Something to that effect.
I don't know how they finance nursing school. I'm sure there's scholarships.
Probably.
Yeah, and then a lot of CNAs going to nursing to hospitals, the hospitals pay the tuition for them to become a nurse and a bachelor of nursing science to climb those ranks. So that's where I want. So historically, what Marion County EMS has done is we've utilized the EIG grant for paramedics. What I would like to see the commission consider, not necessarily use that EIG grant, we create our own paramedic schooling grant. Paramedic schools, $5,000 to $6,000 for 18 months. What I would like to see is we pay that, then we lock in that paramedic student into that contract. The EIG grant is
For 3 years.
yeah, the EIG grant is transferable. So that's a huge risk. We're not paying it, that we're a sponsoring agency from the Board of EMS. So the student can come in here, we can put them through school, they can graduate, and they could say, well, I've taken another position somewhere else, I want to transfer my grant. I would like to see them lock us into Marion County. If we're gonna put the effort into training a new hire and sending him to school, we need to reap some of those benefits. Along those lines, historically, those technicians that were going to school had to use their vacation time to go to class because class will fall on at some point on a work day. What I would like to see happen is those paramedic students that are going to class and internship be on the clock, be compensated for their time while they're at school. In the event of them not graduating paramedic school, or in the event of them dropping out, I'm not sure if there's some kind of new, that those hours are gonna have to be kept track of. If they leave paramedic school, if they drop out, they need to pay that time back. And I could draw up a proposal for that as well, and we can have all these on hopefully Monday.
Well, it's like in
But
business, you know, if we train
it's-
somebody and they quit, we gambled a loss. I mean, I don't think you could make them pay it back. I think you just gotta take the loss.
It depends on certain things. In the private.
Yeah, Brad.
Private.
Yeah.
Hospital's been doing this for a
We
long
can't.
time with doctors.
Well, and that's one thing I'm
And
sure
that's the big thing. That was where that all started.
Yeah.
you've already looked at. There's other programs out there that
Oh.
you can just snag and pull and bring in and mold it for us.
Yeah, I mean, that's there's unspoken rules for the city of Wellington, but if you were on duty that day, you were clocked in and you were at class. I mean, there was nothing written in writing, but there was just, that's the way it was, because
Tradition.
if we're gonna require so much of you on the back side, we need to put some investment on you on the front side. And if you bailed on us, it was, well, I'm sorry, but that was the way it was, and they severed ties, and there's just so much going into training a new student. I think that we also need to be able to recoup, and that's what we will be different than my previous services. I think we need to try to recoup some of that effort that we put forward if they so choose to leave. But I think I can get with Brad, maybe if you draw something up and some kind of contract to lock in a paramedic student for 3 years and we pay for them to go to school.
There is an individual going through paramedic school right now that resides in our county, that works outside of our county, that may or may not be on our part-time or volunteer side. Somebody we can certainly, again, if it's appealing and we can beat the employer there, well, let's bring that young person back into our service. So I think there's hope,
Good.
sure.
How much is the training difference between a CNA and an EMT? I mean, 'cause I know a lot of people take that because of the money, and it's a short course.
There's
Can we snag some of them?
it's apple and oranges.
Yeah. Can we snag some of them and help them with their life do better?
Yeah, we could try to recruit them, but they're gonna have to go through the whole class. I mean, there's no transition.
What's, I think what he's getting more at, is what's the, yeah, maybe not, but maybe simplify it. It's course for EMT is how long?
Depends. Average, I would say probably about 8 to 12 weeks, or you can go through a volunteer service program.
Yeah.
And they can stretch it up to 6 months. It just depends on the
I mean, if
class.
somebody's thinking of being CNA, we could convince them to try this.
This is where I thought he was going with it. He was trying to catch them before they go into the CNA avenue and bring them over this way.
We can try. I mean, that's just a whole nother recruitment, attending job fairs, doing
Yeah.
that kind of situation,
It's
and,
so
and
dealing
try to steer them
with
into
the
the
health,
EMT
you know.
position.
And that's very valid. I've been to job fairs, had the booth, and when you can't beat anybody else in the room, it's not a pleasant experience.
Yeah.
Not very many
You're
people
just
stop at
sitting
your
there.
table.
You gotta,
But-
you got the plague.
Yeah, for sure.
Then
Well, maybe they don't realize that it's not that big a step.
Sure.
I mean, we need to sell that, that
And
for a
then-
little bit more effort, you could really improve yourself.
Sure.
And it's a completely different type of person that wants to work EMS versus that wants to work CNA.
Yeah.
True.
Well, and not all of, yeah.
Very good. Well, let's move forward with bringing the
Lots of
proposal along.
things.
Scott, lots of proposals gonna be coming.
Yep.
And we keep saying Monday. Monday is gonna be August 8th. Not August 1st. Okay, just to make clear.
Got a whole week.
what's the?
I thought you guys just had a special meeting for my retirement.
Sorry?
You're gonna be the only one here.
EMR position. Oh, for a
Can't
lack
do
of
it
a
here.
better term, they're a driver.
Okay. But it's just
We have
a
someplace
part-time
else.
position, it's an on-call, it's not
You might
really
get
a
shot.
full-time.
We don't have any, we don't utilize any.
I just
EMR.
wanted to ask that before we finished, so.
So I'll bring that scholarship forward, or policy forward for you guys, and then the next topic is, transfers. So as you're well aware that I met with the CEOs a couple weeks ago, and they're aware of our staffing issues, and they're aware that we will only be taking transfers pending a life-threatening surgical intervention when we're minimum staffed.
Yes.
The minimum staffing is gonna be 1 ALS unit. If we have 2 ALS units, or when we have 2 ALS units, we'll take the transfers within our policy. Several commissioners have mentioned that billing the hospitals, and we need to come up with a fee. Right now, Jamie bills on average $1,500 to the patient. Those returns are minuscule, less than 50% of what billed out comes back. Tying transfers into the budget, if we start billing HCH and St. Luke directly for these services, because we have no legal obligation to step foot in that facility on a transfer assist basis. Now, we take our patients there, yes, but when they call for a transfer, we have no legal obligation to respond up there unless it's a 911 activation emergency, and at that point, then there's a lot of red tape that the hospital just put themselves in. So for decades, we've been providing a free service to these facilities. I would like to see a assist fee, and our ALS assist fee is $700 if we go out and treat someone in John Q. Public, and it's an ALS call. It's the minimum fee is at $700, and the fees start adding up depending on mileage and whatnot. So at our base ALS rate, I think when the hospital calls, because it's just happened just Monday or Tuesday, we had to go up to the local hospital and provide care for one of their patients and assist those ER staff. That was a free service. I would like to see us go forward and bill the hospitals directly our ALS fee of just a flat rate of $700, and if it should subject to change in 5 years down the road, we change that fee to follow that. But at $700, that's what we're going to do a patient. We do a patient report and we bill a hospital directly. Along those lines, with transfers, we bill the hospital directly for transfers. That fee is, there's some bonuses I think we can work into that. Couple things. Let me backtrack a little bit. The hospital, between both hospitals, they ran almost 280 transfers last year. When we're at minimum staffing and we're not taking these transfers, they're gonna have to find somebody else to bring these transfers in. Whether it be they hire their own vehicle or they buy their own vehicle and staff it with their own hospital staff members. I think that both these hospitals are gonna have to work together, because I don't think it's gonna be feasible for one hospital to do it and the other one to not. I think they're gonna have to work together and try to make something work. Or they contract out with Eagle Med, Life Team, some kind of other ground transport service. It's gonna be costly. But again, I think if they go that route, I mean, our staffing, until we get staffing, we're not gonna be able to do it. They're gonna have to figure something out. So if we come back in and we start contracting it ourselves, we have to have a fee number that's going to be fair market value of what other services are charging these hospitals. Depending on that number, it's going, and we're billing the hospitals to be 100% return instead of this less than 50%, and that's.
Just throw in there, billing the hospital. If you wanted to pull up the same way Eagle Med or whatever, be fair market value, your commitment's gonna have to be as good as theirs. So in my mind, you shouldn't wanna be the same, you should wanna be considerably less, so that they want to use you to save money, but not that you're obligated to have.
Yes, so I think what we do is we present them a fee sheet, and and this is, when we're fully staffed, this is what we'll do and where we'll take them. Because I put a list together. There's 30 hospitals that Marion County EMS will transfer to in this 60-mile radius from hospitals.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
There's a lot. So I think as we present them a fee sheet, if you would like us to come in and assist you at the hospital, it's a $700 ALS assist fee. If you would like us to transfer a patient out of your facility to another facility, it's gonna be X dollar fee. To sign an actual contract, I'm not sure if that's a position we wanna get in just yet, because now we're obligated to fulfill that contract. I think if we present them with a, like an à la carte, if you will, price sheet, and so they're fully aware of the services that they're gonna be getting. Granted, our services might not be available that day because of the staffing issue, so we're not obligated in to a contract.
With the first right of refusal to do it. I mean, we're the first ones they call.
Yeah, we
could always refuse it and then call the next
Or
one.
vice versa, if they contract out to Eagle Med, we can be the second one to call. Depending on where that fee is at, from what I've understood, Eagle Med's transfer fee is jaw-dropping. Haven't heard an exact number, but it's enough to raise some eyebrows. Another option, again, this is once we get fully staffed, and this is just thinking down the road, is if we can have that number, say, I'm just gonna throw a number out there, say we charge $3,000 for a transfer, we bill to the hospital directly. From what I've been told, that's way less than what Eagle Med charges. So if we throw out $3,000, $2,000 of that comes back to the service as billable, whatever you wanna call it. That extra $1,000, we use those as a transfer bonus to help to be paid to the crew coming in off duty. So what that's going to do is that's going to keep both your ALS units in county, and you're going to have off-duty crew that's able to throw a 3-hour time frame to get this patient out while having a trip at your hospital. You're now doing two things. You're keeping your ALS trucks in county, and then you're also compensating the pay scale, getting it up and above, or up to closer to that market value for that employee, because they're going to be looking at these bonuses. It's not going to cost the county anything. It's going to be billed directly to the hospital, and it's money, that $1,000 bonus is money that we aren't budgeting for or aren't needing to see. Also, it's going to be $500 more than what we're billing right now for transfers. And then also, it's 100% return instead of 50%. So it's going to be money ahead.
Could we do transfers cheaper since we're guaranteed to get paid?
I'm just throwing that money, that number out there.
Well, he's already said, comparable, it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Yeah, comparable, it's already cheaper.
Well, yeah, I just try to.
With that, that's obviously in the future. Transfers, obviously a discussion we've all had. And it's gonna take some soul searching on commission. I was advised that we were not a transfer service, nor did we wanna be. So I think, Chuck, this may be an uphill battle, because at that point you are talking about becoming a transfer service. And is it necessary? You know, what does that change? Does that change your mile radius? Again, you've got to get through the crisis of staffing, but maybe that is an option that people can come in on their day off, staff you a truck,
Generate more income.
and go to Kansas City. Again, I think that's a ways down the road, but
because public perception for the first thing is gonna have to be changed. I mean, public thinks we're here, we transfer you. That's just, if I wasn't in county government, I'd think that. But we're up against this right now with this, and that brings up another point, our policy. I think we need to strike that sentence with the 60-mile radius. That's just causing all kinds of grief around the county, and we've been getting texts and emails. Not to say that, no, we want to take them to Wichita, or we want to take them to Newton, but COVID changed that whole dynamic to where the public now thinks, well, I like Topeka. That's where I want to go, and I think just that one sentence is causing us a lot of grief, and it needs to come out of that policy.
Well, it gives some support to the people that are actually running the department, though, that they have policy backing. They make a call,
So if you were to strike that from the policy, you're saying you are willing to go to Kansas City?
As warranted.
What's warranted?
Well, that would be up.
Yeah. Okay, well, no,
During COVID, it was warranted.
you're right, and we did it.
Right.
And then there became a problem, and I was told by commission not to do it.
And,
not past
but
60
I'm
miles.
saying, at this point, of course, we don't know if we're gonna get back to COVID again,
Sure.
but we would be saying, we're going to Wichita.
One was turned down to Menorah, which is in Kansas City, Missouri, which we have taken people there before. If you strike that 60 miles and the hospital calls it 10 o'clock at night and says we have one going to Menorah, by policy, we would have one truck in-house, you would take that transfer. And the only thing I caution you on is now that other hospital, same hospital, I don't care, or a patient calls is having a STEMI and they need to be in Wichita, what do you have left?
So why does somebody want to go to Menorah?
They don't want to go. It's where they find a bed.
Within the 60 hospitals, we can't find a bed.
The 30 hospitals within
30,
60
okay.
miles,
Right.
apparently they can't find a bed.
Right.
And that's, and I'm not, please don't, I'm doing this for the sake of discussion and to put in you why that policy was put in place is because when we talk about liabilities, everybody talks about the liability of well, we're not going past 60 miles, then we're liable if something happens. That's absolutely false.
And
We have no legal obligation to take
Right.
that transfer.
And
Okay,
I understand
where
that.
the liability comes is when somebody's family member does not have an ambulance, because you have one in Kansas City and one in Wichita.
Yeah.
And there's no ambulance available. Now you have liability.
Come get you, take you to the local hospital. Yeah. Now we got a problem.
And I know I'm on my way out. I'll leave that alone. But this has been the source of why I'm not here anymore.
And in speaking with Miami County EMS, is their transfer policy is also 60 miles.
But normally in Miami County, they wouldn't be running 30. They're never gonna go past Kansas City because they've got all the
A lot of
specialized stuff
times,
there.
you say that, we had Omaha and we had Oklahoma City.
Right.
During
Oklahoma
COVID.
City.
Is that what business we want to be in?
Most of the people out west, we tell them where we're at, look, by Wichita, they would never dream that we would take anybody to Kansas City. We have Wichita right there.
We have 30
If
hospitals.
you don't have a bed though.
Right. But what I'm saying is you go out west, they've got Hayes, they've got Garden City, they've got, I mean, they look at us and we're like, you got Wichita right there, you've got it made.
I know.
So it's a perception. I mean, it's where you come from, what you see.
I know of a transfer not very long ago from Garden City to Denver.
And who took it?
I don't know who took it.
There's transfer companies out
Probably
there.
a
because of that.
transfer company, yeah.
I think if you strike that.
But that's an issue for the hospitals. If they want to have that ability, they need to have a contract.
Yeah, so if it's beyond 60 miles,
Right.
they need to call a contract. All right.
Yeah, I mean, in
Transfer.
essence, I'm just talking about the policy we have just seems to be turning people inside out.
It's the same policy that's been there for
I know.
3 years.
And it's just
It just came to head.
very few people. It's like anything, there's always two squeaky wheels to 1,000 other that.
But I mean, I'm guessing at this point, the hospitals realize we're on a skeleton crew. We couldn't possibly probably do a transfer to Kansas City
Today,
without a transfer station.
If you strike that from that, Kent, today, he has 2 ALS staff trucks. If the call came in to go to Menorah, Kansas City, Missouri,
go.
and you strike that truck's going. Next month, he ain't got no staff, so you're not gonna worry about it next month. But today, you would go to Kansas City. Would you go to Oklahoma City?
How about
today?
if we would strike that sentence if we knew that the hospitals were gonna contract?
No, it still leaves you committed.
And maybe it's, if they would contract, it wouldn't matter. I mean, but
Is there any other support for changing the policy, removing the 60-mile radius?
don't know how the effect would be. That's, if I removed it, that would be and I'm with you, Travis, on that, because they would expect us to do it. And I just don't see how we're going to, especially if 6 more.
I just,
resignations.
talking to the public, and I've
Yeah.
put that question to them. If we only had one ambulance available, and they had to get to Topeka, Kansas City, wherever it is, what would you say? Here's the public who told me, roll the dice.
Well-
That's a comment I get, roll the dice.
It's
And that is
That's
easy
horrible
to
idea. Easy to say
easy to
when-
say, hard to be the person that stands up, as I have, in front of a family member and explain what took so long to get them an ambulance, because my trucks were out on transfers.
With a broken leg, not a heart attack.
And again, this is the contention that cost me a
It's-
job.
John,
it's
the
a-
public
it
does
needs
not
to be- it needs to be
understand
understood.
what we're trying to accomplish.
It needs to be understood that bring them to our local hospitals. That is our obligation.
We're
It's
to
not
get you to a
to
higher
take them,
level of
yeah,
care
different
from
than
the-
that. It's-
We're to get you to a higher level of care than we are capable of in the ambulance on the street. So whether it be a nurse practitioner at St. Luke or a cardiologist at Wesley, we have no obligation to take a hip fracture for an orthopedic consult to Kansas City. That's,
I totally get that.
we are,
But that's the
Marion
phone
County
call
even-
you can get, Ken.
You
And I
really
know some of our runs are because people are elderly or something and
Yeah.
can't drive after dark or something like that, where you could normally just drive in. I know you get those.
No, and I think the public needs to be well aware that when they call 911, they will get an ambulance and they will get transferred to the appropriate facility. We don't have to go to St. Luke, we don't have to go to HCH. We can take you to Newton, we can take you to McPherson, Salina.
Yeah,
all those
some of
hospitals.
those
And
locations
we will
are closer.
do,
If it's
closer.
appropriate.
yeah, the appropriate facility. But as far as taking transfers at 1 AM to Menorah, you're looking at a whole liability, even just as a crew safety factor. If that crew had been up all day running calls and you call them at 1 o'clock in the morning to drive up 3 hours up, 3 hour, an hour at the hospitals and then 3 hours back, 7 hours
In the dark.
in the dark, sleep deprived is, there's been studies proven that sleep deprivation is almost the equivalent of driving drunk. And that's by removing that 60-mile policy, is you open that can of worms as well.
Because then it does put a judgment call on somebody.
Yeah.
And we've been told how many times, and I'm well aware, I'm not a doctor.
Yeah. And I don't disagree with anything. It's how do we sell all this to the public?
Yeah.
When their perception is
Yes.
our ambulance is gonna take us to Tulsa.
Well, again, I compliment you on coming up with a good crisis plan and a good long-term plan. We have to get through the crisis. We get past that, I think there's some opportunities. You've laid out a good roadmap for some opportunities for the ambulance service, but we've got to get through this immediate crisis. So, to come back on a couple, you're gonna be bringing us on the retainment, recruitment, pay, longevity, benefits, scholarship program, on hospital, and we get into the transfer issue on hospital paying for services. Is this something the commission was gonna take action on?
You're talking about the services you render to the local hospital.
For me to go up and
Right.
start a need to do any kind of
Yeah, that's
skills or
a-
assessment, or not, I shouldn't say assessment.
Right.
Any type of activity that we are requested by the hospital to come up and help with or assist with.
So we're looking at two, one is providing services and the other is transfers.
And how much, is that once a week or once a day or?
It's occasionally, I did one just the other day, and it's been probably a couple weeks since the last person has gone up. And it's not a routine
Okay.
thing, it's just as a emergency situation that the hospitals need.
Okay, I'm prepared with a motion that we authorize the interim director to develop a schedule of fees for hospital pay when EMS is required to, or requested to perform services at either hospital. Second by Commissioner Dahlke. Discussion.
Just say either hospital. Is there any opportunity where you could be Newton Med?
No.
I mean, is it
Realistically,
possible?
no.
But if it ever did happen, I wouldn't want
I
to
would-
be limited to where you could only charge these two.
I would say yes, any hospital,
I
any higher
amend my
facility.
motion to any higher level facility.
Yeah.
Is that agreeable, Commissioner Dahlke? So that would be any higher level facility. Further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0. My next motion would be to move forward with the Marion County EMS billing hospital directly for transfers from a Marion County facility to another facility.
One facility to another facility. Just say you weren't gonna pick one up on the way back.
Yeah.
It's gotta
No, I
be
mean,
fair.
we've done that.
The motion is any transfer from any facility to another facility.
Build that facility requesting.
At just a flat rate you were talking about?
For sake of billing, I think that's the easiest, and then the hospital can go after the patient's
So
insurance.
would we be eliminating our collection then?
That's-
On transfers.
We just collect from the hospital.
Just, it'd be just be
Just
on
be on
transfers,
transfer,
not-
because we would build a hospital and then, yeah. Just on
Have they
transfer.
been approached with that concept?
Not yet. I was waiting for trying to date some ideas and numbers of how we want to go about that, and then I'll go.
I would say, my opinion is they need to be contacted with this concept, with some way of selling it to them. I mean, if they don't even know about it, we're gonna vote on it.
Can I ask what if they said no?
Yeah, then what are you gonna do?
I mean, that's.
That no, if it's gonna be a no, it ought to come from the board, not from the administrator.
Amen.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed say nay.
Hey,
Motion carried 4-1.
Randy, did you vote?
Not yet.
Okay,
So they
it's
can-
3-1. One abstention.
I just think we got the cart here a little bit before the
I
horse.
think we have to work with them to let them know this before we pass it.
Well,
I'd like
we don't
to-
have a schedule of values right yet.
It's just,
It's coming down the pike.
We will be
Because
billing you
The dollar
when you
amounts
show.
haven't been set.
Yeah,
So right now, as of right now, it's $0.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm just saying they haven't had time to talk to their board about this.
Their first question is gonna be how much?
does,
We don't have that number yet.
does their board have any idea of what we're doing? Some of the people that I've seen on some of the Marion board there, they just may not have idea what the county's doing.
That's why I think that their board need to know. I'm not saying involved, but they need to have knowledge of it.
Yeah, knowledge of it,
That'd be up to their administrator.
to advise them.
It's
mean,
not our job, but
I plan on here the next Monday or Tuesday going over and getting with Mark and Jeremy and letting them know of our decisions today that we will be billing at some point for transfers. We will be, and it's been passed that we will be billing for us to come up and help. They are aware that our staffing of transfers in our current policy as it stands and versus employee staffing, whether or not the dollar amount is what I think is the in question.
You can't put a dollar amount until you decide you're going to do
Right.
something.
Yep.
right, the decision is just to do it. Now we have to implement.
I mean, it'll still have to come back to us for
Yes.
approval on the à la carte, right? I mean, they can't just throw $1 million at it, you know, be like, oh, the board approved us to go ahead and bill you. That's not gonna happen,
No.
so.
I would go day.
Yeah, they've got some
on that
issues
boat.
bookkeeping wise. I mean, it's not just the fee. I mean, their bookkeeping has to totally change. I just think we're a little bit ahead of that.
I'd sure like them to know it, but that's all right. Go with 3 to 2, that's the way it is.
Okay.
3 to 2.
Yep, 3 to 2.
I've got it down.
She already had it. She already had it before you said it.
No, I waited till he said it.
She knew
I was
what was
waiting.
going. All right, Chuck, what else you got for us?
So that's, I'll get those proposals, I'll get with Tina and get all those for you for August 8th meeting, and hopefully we can get some people and get our service back up to where it was before.
Again, I want to reiterate, I think you've come up with some great ideas and some
Yes.
great approaches. It's an incredibly difficult situation.
Yeah. I'll get it done. Thank you.
We appreciate that. All right.
That's all I have
Just
for today.
watching the body language back and forth over here.
Okay. Again, thank you, Chuck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Travis.
Yes.
Nice to see you.
Can you stop by my office?
We should have anything else today?
Oh.
Nice. Burn, sir, yes, sir.
Commission improvement.
Thank Travis for building this organization up and leaving us with a good working model.
And there's some more people we do owe a thank you to, and that's the rest of the volunteers or people, the employees that stand with us, that we want to try working to improve their situation. And I hope they know that we're working towards that, Chuck. So we appreciate them sticking around and doing their job too, so.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, both of you.
Okay, anything else?
This information we got this morning on this Chief Evans Memorial, county involved in that and any?
Well, yeah, kind
Emergency
of.
management.
Emergency management's kind of picked it up, so. It's because they were an officer in Burns, and
Right.
so since it's within the county, they're kind of helping them to promote it. Burns, the city of Burns is wanting people to come on.
Who's paying for it?
It's,
Is our question.
it's a group that does this,
So they're
for
not-
fallen officers. It's a tour that they go on.
They're not requesting any like special event money that we give to other towns?
I don't know. So-
March's report for quotes on some stuff from me.
Well, that's what he was saying, that, I mean, there's gonna be some expense there.
Okay, anything else? Reminder, our next meeting will be Monday, August 8th. Remind everybody to get out and vote. Good luck on election.
Thank you.
Stop right there.
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Donkey, all in favor, say aye.
Hi.
Hey.
Opposed to adjourn? None? 5-0.
Tina's opposing.
No, I'm not.
Thank you.